What? Don't judge me, you asked for this video. Now you will complain that I'm adding Hoya to your wish list and that it's my fault, and it's genuinely not my fault. I mean, I'm only doing what you're telling me to do. Hello and welcome. Today we have quite an interesting video, and it is a Hoya wishlist video. But I decided I'm not gonna make a regular Hoya wishlist of obtainable Hoyas. No. I decided to be far less realistic than normally, which is quite honestly very concerning. And I decided to put some Hoyas on this wish list that I know I won't be getting anytime soon. But that's okay. I think it's fine to dream about them, and I will share these Hoyas with you because I think you may not know for many of the Hoyas on this list, and why just not introduce them to the world? Before we continue with the video, I would like to say a thank you to the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. If you have been following my channel for a while, you already know about Skillshare, but for all of you that are new here, Skillshare is an online learning platform where you can learn any new skill that you want. What I love about Skillshare is that it is very organized. Classes are divided into categories, the entire platform is very easy to navigate, and it's very easy to find any class that you want to. And trust me, there is nothing that I appreciate more than good organization. It is also very easy to pause classes if you don't have time for whatever reason, and then you can continue watching them on your computer or on the mobile app. The class I took this month is Product Photography, Creating Images That Sell by Elena Hassel, and I loved this class. Elena is very enthusiastic and she has a very soothing voice, which is something I also appreciate, and she will show you how to add depth and interest to your photograph, but also how to use some everyday objects for hacks so you can avoid buying some expensive camera equipment, which I really appreciate as well. I just started taking photographs of my plants using some of the skills that I learned in this class, and I will show you two photos of my Hoya Nicholsonia New Guinea Ghost NS16006 that I recently took, and I think they look quite good. Obviously, there is still room for improvement, but that is what Skillshare is here for. Another great thing is that you will never be interrupted by ads while taking any of the classes, so you can learn without any interruptions. Since Skillshare is the sponsor of this video, first 1,000 of you that click the link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of premium membership. So there is really no reason why not to join today. Now it's time to go back to the video. That's not back. I don't know why I'm doing this. So the list. Now the composer. I have 10 Hoyas for you, and I've arranged them according to the price that I found. One of them doesn't have a price. It doesn't mean that it's priceless. It means that I could not find it being sold anywhere, and so we will cover that Hoya first, obviously. Some of them are quite expensive, so the prices kind of range from $50 to $1,500, quite a lot. A lot of these Hoyas are Hoyas that you won't find even in collections of people who have been collecting for 10 or 15 years. Not that they're not interesting, but some of them are quite difficult to find. Some of them just recently got into circulation, and that is why the price is a bit steeper, because there are not that many of them around. Some of them I do think that the price is high because they have something that makes them look very attractive and very appealing to wide audiences, so, you know, cash in on that. We will not discuss too much about the prices. Maybe I will mention something a bit briefly. We will just look at the Hoyas, I will tell you why I like them, and then we will just continue to dream, I guess. First Hoya on this list is Hoya jiewhoeana. I'm pretty sure I'm mispronouncing that. I think it's a Malaysian last name, so, you know, not quite fluent. I think there is also begonia that has the same epithet, and if you're a begonia pro, you will know that. I am definitely not, unless you consider killing begonias to be a skill, and then I'm very good at it. Hoya jiewhoeana is a wonderful looking Hoya. It is the Hoya on this wish list that I don't know how much it costs. In fact, I have never seen this Hoya being sold anywhere. I only learned about this plant quite recently, and if you have a guide to Hoyas of Borneo, I think this Hoya was published there, so you will know about it. I still don't have that book because I keep spending my money on Hoyas instead of books, so I will just read the leaves of my Hoyas instead, the pages of the book. I haven't been able to find many photos of this Hoya, but the one that I did find was enough to convince me that this is something that I need to have. What I find the most attractive about this Hoya are the flowers, and hear me out, I know they are not the most gorgeous flowers, but listen. They're very cute. First of all, you have this contrast between the corolla and the corona, between white and very yellow, which I think is very cute. It really reminds you of daisies. And then the next thing, you have this full umbel. It has so many flowers in an umbel, and it's really just perfect. And the third thing is that the corolla, or the tip of the corolla, is slightly curved back, which makes the flower shape look so naive. It looks like a child would draw the flower. That's what they look like to me. And I think they're very, very cute. Now, the leaf is nothing to write home about from the photos that I have seen on the internet. And, this may or may not be true. Some Hoya leaves don't really look that interesting when you take photos of them, but when you get to experience them in person, you find that they're much more interesting than you thought they would be. So I'm not gonna say anything about the leaves too much. It's, just some Hoya leaves don't photograph all that well, which is something that I can relate to. If you have the book, A Guide to Hoyas of Borneo, you probably know more about this plant than I do. I don't know what the scent is like. I just can see how the flowers look like, and honestly, sometimes that is just enough to convince you that you need to get this plant. I haven't seen it being sold anywhere. I haven't seen it in any collections from, bigger Hoya collectors. So I don't really know how difficult it is to get it, how uncommon or rare it is. I didn't even see any photos of it on Instagram, and if you are not on Instagram, do you really exist? Yes, you do. Instagram is just bull. So that is all about the first Hoya, and I would like you to tell me if you ever heard about this plant and if you know how to get it. The next plant on this wish list is much easier to find, and this is Hoya inflata. Hoya inflata has been on my wish list for, I would say, about 2 years, and I still didn't get it. And I think one of the reasons why I didn't is I think this Hoya perhaps is a bit more sensitive, maybe a bit more difficult to grow. But I absolutely adore this plant. First of all, the flowers are amazing. They remind me of Hoya Wishlist yellow, with the yellow flower, which is about to bloom soon, but they are bigger and they look a bit more delicate than that plant. They kind of remind me of Lily of the Valley, but just the yellow Hoya version of Lily of the Valley, if that makes sense. The leaves are also very nice. I quite like plain looking leaves sometimes. This plant costs about 50 euros, or that's the price that I have seen. It's possible that you can get it for less or for more. I have seen larger specimens being sold in Europe for about 200, and honestly, I don't really like to buy Hoyas that are big, or I don't like to buy big plants is what I'm saying. I like to buy them from a cutting because then I think it's just much easier on you. Sometimes you can spend a lot of money on this big Hoya and it arrives and the root is wrong or something is wrong with it. There are pests, root mealies, which we know I have experienced buying a larger Hoya. So it's just enough. For me, I would just like to, get a small cutting and then grow it out myself. And that is also very enjoyable for you because when you see your plant several months or several years down the road, you look at it and you can see how much it grew. You're like, I grew that from a cutting. How brilliant am I? But I would say really that the thing why I want this Hoya the most is because of the flower. I have a way of possibly getting this Hoya, so don't be surprised if I do get a cutting of it in April. I'm definitely working on it, and I really hope that it grows well here. I tend not to look anymore at how easy or how difficult Hoya is to grow because it just builds up unnecessary anxiety. I have heard so many bad things about Hoya undulata, and I was terrified of getting it. And I can tell you it's quite easy. I mean, it's been quite easy for me. It has been easy to propagate, to grow, and I don't give it any particularly special conditions. I just water it, and that's about it. So anyways, that's why I don't tend to look anymore at people's experience. You know, I wait for the plant to arrive, and then if I have some issues with it, then I will look up what could potentially be wrong, because even if I look what other people experience, and if I think to myself, well, you know, that's just their experience, it will still give me anxiety about it. So, you know, best not to look, or not to look too much into it. The next Hoya on this wish list is very similar to something that I recently got, and I think I mentioned this plant in my previous video. And when I was recording the B-roll for this video, it was on the same day that I published the video, which is quite late. Don't do that if you are ever recording. I mentioned in this video that I was hoping that the plant would be in bloom. A couple of hours after I published that video, this plant bloomed. Anyways, this next Hoya is Hoya evelinae. And I think that Hoya evelinae comes from Papua New Guinea. Now the plant that I have is Hoya apoda. This plant that I got said Hoya apoda, and then in parentheses it said Hoya species affinity evelinae. I got it from HoyaPassion, and it was on a discount, so obviously I couldn't resist. But I want to show you the plant because obviously it bloomed. You know, that long story was not for nothing. Some of my stories are, but this one actually had a point. And you can just see how cute she is. I really wish that the light wasn't shining so much into the flower, but yeah, the flower is very cute. It kind of reminds me of Hoya retusa, but much prettier and bigger and better. And the leaf is something that I think everyone can get on board with. It didn't start to grow yet. I think it just rooted and immediately it pushed out a peduncle. And a lot of people asked me how this plant smells, and it doesn't have a scent. But anyways, this isn't about Hoya apoda, but it's about Hoya evelinae, which is very similar in terms of leaves and in terms of the flower. I think the flower is not pure white when it comes to Hoya evelinae, or it appears to me like that from the photos. I think it has a bit of pinkish to the flower, and I would like to get it because I think they would make a very nice pair together. Hoya evelinae is also something that I have not seen being sold a lot, and I have not seen it in many collections. It's not terribly expensive. It's about 100 euros, but it's not that easy to find. I know at the time when I was buying my Hoya apoda, it was available on HoyaPassion, but I just went for apoda because it was on a discount, it was cheaper, and I thought, why not? And really, why not? But anyways, why I love Hoya evelinae so much is because of the flower. I think it looks very delicate. It is a very elegant looking flower. And I really like Hoyas that bloom with a single flower. You know, it is nice to see umbels that are just filled with flowers and they make the perfect ball shape. But there is something about seeing just a couple of flowers here and there. I don't know. I think there is also beauty in subtlety. You know, some of them are just a bit too much. But anyways, I also like the leaf of Hoya apoda, and I think that Hoya evelinae has a similar looking leaf. I think they look very nice. They're a bit leathery. They're not very firm, but they are a bit leathery. It's a thin-leaved Hoya. And from what I saw when new leaves come in, they are kind of this burgundy color. So I cannot wait to see this. Let's just see if there is a vine coming in, maybe. No. Okay, you take your time. It's important that you flowered, but new growth is clearly not on your mind. The next plant on my list is something that I also quite like. I don't think I need to say this, I think. That's why they are on your wish list, Miro. It is Hoya fusca. And Hoya fusca, oh my goodness, it has just the most gorgeous leaves, in my opinion. I'm quite a sucker for leaves when the veins are very prominent, and Hoya fusca has that. But aside from the great looking leaf, Hoya fusca has very nice looking flowers. They are kind of yellowish, I think. Maybe they're not pure yellow. They're maybe, I know that people who know colors who can tell you like navy blue. Okay, I know what navy blue is, but you know how sometimes people get very specific about colors? I'm not like that. I'm like, I can see this is yellow, but I can also see there's some other undertones to it. So it's not golden yellow. It's like, I'm going to look up yellow tones. Hold on. Maybe mustard. Oh, mustard. Mustard is the color. Okay, we got it. We got it, people. You don't have to be concerned. I have seen some photos out there that are tagged as Hoya fusca, but are really not Hoya fusca. The flowers are red and the leaves don't look like Hoya fusca at all. So I don't know what's up with that. Sometimes people will tell you, you never know with Hoyas until they bloom. But I think... I think sometimes you can know. You cannot sell me Hoya australis and claim it is Hoya thomsoni. Like, one of them is pubescent, one of them is not. You know, the argument, you never know with Hoyas until they bloom, is kind of not valid there. And when a Hoya has just very prominent characteristics, like the leaf for Hoya fusca is not something that you can confuse with carnosa or with pubicalyx. There are characteristics to this leaf that make it unique. But anyways, that was a slight detour. Back to Hoya fusca. This plant is around 100 euros. I have seen it around that much. It's possible you can get it for less if you reach out to a collector, or if you trade maybe one of your cuttings for it, then it's basically free, right? Am I right? Am I right? Like when you cut one of your plants and you trade it, no money changed hands and you're basically getting it for nothing.
Sometimes I'm so f***ing clever, I have to take a breath not to become dizzy.
I should really get a new perspective on that. Or not. I think it's best not. But anyways, I love Hoya fusca both for its leaves and for its flowers. Now, as of now, I don't have any intention of getting Hoya fusca, but if it finds a way into my hands, I'll take it. I'll take it. The next Hoya on this wish list is Hoya subquintuplinervis innervariegated. And this is another Hoya that's been on my wish list for quite some time, but it was very, very expensive. It is still not cheap by any stretch of imagination, and I don't think that in the last 2 years the price actually came down. I think people are now selling smaller cuttings, which makes the plant a bit more affordable, because previously what I have seen were plants that had maybe 6 or 7 leaves or something like that in that neighborhood, and they were around 300 euros, which is quite a lot in my opinion. But now I have seen them being sold with a couple of leaves for 100, which makes it more affordable. Not extremely affordable, but, you know, better than 300. I love Hoya subquintuplinervis. When I got it, I wasn't sure about it, and I first got the regular green version, but very quickly I fell in love with the leaves. Texture of the leaf is amazing. If you don't have regular Hoya subquintuplinervis, go get it. Go get it right now. Pause this video, go get it, come back, and rub the leaf. It is a very nice Hoya. It blooms frequently, it is easy to take care for, and it grows decently well. After getting that one, I got my outer variegated Hoya subquintuplinervis, and I was a bit disappointed because the clone that I got doesn't have the same texture on the leaf. I think there are 2 clones of outer variegated subquintuplinervis. One of them has more glabrous leaf, and one of them has a leaf that is closer to the green version when it comes to that smooth texture. That just means I need to get another clone. And don't get me wrong, the clone that I have is very nice. It looks beautiful, but it's just not what I expected, so I was a bit disappointed. Inner variegated subquintuplinervis has exactly the leaf that I want. It has the same texture to the regular green subquintuplinervis, but it has pizzazz. What is this, 2000? It has additional beauty to the leaf, and those are the lovely colors. I find that with inner variegated Hoyas, the markings on the leaf can get quite beautiful. With outer variegated Hoyas, you know, it's nice. It's nice to see some variegation, but with inner variegated Hoyas, it seems to me you just get more color. That's what has been my experience, at least so far. And they really tend to get very beautiful markings. Now, the photo that I'm showing you is from Betsy Begonia, because that little rascal has this plant, and it is wonderful. It grew so well. Actually, when she got it, I told her it's not the best looking cutting, but she grew that plant amazingly. It is looking just wonderful, and I recently saw the photo and I was like, yes, That's it. That's the plant. And I think perhaps the reason why this one is a bit more expensive is, first of all, it's not that common. It's not easy to find. I don't think many people have it. I think it's a decent grower. From what Betsy told me, it does grow quite well, but the issue with it is that it makes very, very small internodal spaces, and that's kind of what you get with regular subquintuplinervis. And hold on, I'm gonna get it. You can see this plant is still in bloom, and I think it's just gonna go out of bloom very quickly, but that's not the reason why I'm showing you. You see how compact the plant is. You can definitely cut it on this one. It's not as compact as they can get. So, this one would be a good cutting here because there's more stem. But you can see maybe from this angle that it kind of gets close there. But you will see on Betsy's photo that it's even more tightly packed. So I think that's one of the reasons why this plant is not being sold very frequently. I think it takes some time for this plant to start pushing out, longer internodal spaces. And I was just wondering, if you have to cut a plant that is small, do you sacrifice a couple of the leaves? Because that's just, I hope that people are not doing that. But anyways, what I wanted to say, I love the markings on these leaves. I'm not always interested in variegated Hoyas because some of them honestly don't look that great to me. They don't look the best. But when variegated Hoya looks good, it looks good. The next plant on this wish list is Hoya rigidifolia. And this plant is truly something special, in my opinion. The reason why I love this plant is because of the leaves. And again, I think, to me, they look very much like another plant that I want, and it is Anthurium lutheri. When a Hoya reminds me of Anthurium, you know that it's special. It's just, it has this very prominent mid vein, and the edge of the leaf looks like it is offset to the inside. It's just wonderful looking leaf. I actually thought that I was gonna able to get this plant from a collector, but I think, last minute they said that they could not cut this plant, which did make me sad a bit, but there are other ways to get it. Typically, I see this being sold for around 150 euros. I do believe you can get it for less. I think you just need to look out for more, but that's just the price that I can confirm because I have seen it online. It doesn't mean, all of these prices, it doesn't mean that you cannot find them for much cheaper than that. I think you can. I don't have anything that looks like this Hoya, and I haven't seen many Hoyas that look similar. On top of that, the flower is very nice. From what I have seen, it seems to me that Hoya rigidifolia has a flower that kind of reminds me of Hoya finlaysoni, but then again, the pictures are not the best, and there is always a possibility that someone mismatched the name for their Hoya. I don't think this is something that I will be able to get this year, so, we will possibly need to wait a couple of years to get this one, but that's completely fine. I don't think many Hoyas in this wish list is something that is necessarily obtainable, for me at least, right away, but for you, it may be a different situation. They may be more available or even less. Hopefully, though, it's more. The next Hoya. The next Hoya. The next Hoya is just my favorite. It's one of the top Hoyas that I need to get, and I have worked out a way to get it. I'm not going to tell you how. I will tell you when it arrives, but I will say that my Hoya undulata is kind of included, so maybe you can work that out. And yeah, it is Hoya. Hold on, I want to get the pronunciation right. I did ask Rose, plant with Rose, to pronounce this name for me because I'm not Dutch, and it is named after a Dutch person. So it's a Dutch surname. Hold on. I need to listen to it again.
Versteeg. Versteeg.
Versteeg. Versteeg. Versteeg. My Dutch is really excellent. I'm basically a native Dutch speaker. So this is Hoya versteegii. The way that you're supposed to pronounce these Hoyas, where it was named after someone, you're supposed to try to preserve the pronunciation of their last name in their native tongue and then add the EE in this case, or II, but it's EE, how we pronounce it. So it's Hoya versteegii. Hopefully something like that. My Dutch aside, or the lack of it, this is just an amazing Hoya. And I did not know about this Hoya until maybe half a year ago or so. And I fell in love with it. It wasn't immediate love because I kind of glanced over the photos of this plant, but the more I looked at it, it just, I started to obsess a little bit and then a little bit more, and then it spiraled out of control. Hoya versteegii is just amazing. It has a leaf that is in a way similar to Hoya undulata, and it has that wavy leaf. It has the undulate edge. And I don't think it necessarily happens when the plant is still young. I think you need to get some bigger leaves or more adult leaves because Betsy, the little rascal, has this plant, and it's not just that wavy yet, but I think it's something that the plant grows into. I have seen multiple prices for this plant, anywhere from, 1 to over 200 euros, and it really depends. I'm going to trade one of my plants for this one. Again, this is just a spoiler. I'm just so bad with spoilers. Just shut up, Miro. When it arrives, I will show it to you. Do not worry. I will probably make a dedicated video just for that one Hoya. Another reason why I love this plant is because the leaves are pubescent. So, it's combining two of the things that I like. Pubescent leaf and undulate edge. Plus, the leaves, when they come in, they are this a golden burgundy color, I think. Maybe it's more golden. Actually, it's bronze. That's the name of the color. What's up with me and the color names? For me, at least, the leaf is, in this case, the primary reason why I want to get it. It's not always like that. Sometimes I will want to get Hoya because of its flower, and I will not even pay attention to the leaves. Sometimes it will be like balance between the two. But sometimes I will just see a leaf that I will fall in love with, and I do not care what the flower looks like or what it smells like. It can smell like a pigsty, I will still want it. In this case, however, the flower is also unique. Again, I don't think I have a Hoya that blooms anything similar to this. It really reminds me of starfish. I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, but I absolutely love the flower. And I just think when you see the flower and when you see the leaf of this plant, it's just so easy to see how it stands out amongst any other Hoya. So I would love to add that to my collection. And if everything goes well, it will be added this year. Okay, we are down to last 3 Hoyas. And I'm just gonna give you a warning. This Hoya, the next Hoya, is the last somewhat affordable Hoya in my opinion. It's again close to that price range of versteegii, around 150, 180, depending where you get it. And this is Hoya exilis. This is another Hoya that I have to admit I did not know until recently. And recently being a couple of months ago. And when I found out about it, it's beautiful. I did not find a publication on this Hoya, which makes me think this is possibly a new species, or maybe it needs to be republished, or I'm not quite sure what is happening there with Hoya exilis, but it is just so amazingly beautiful, fantastic. Just 10 out of 10 to Hoya gods. They created a beautiful Hoya. It has flowers that look to me like they are made out of glass. I don't know if you get the same impression, but to me they look like they are made out of glass. The corona is see-through, and that's what makes me think they look like they're made out of glass. From the photos, from what I can see, it just looks like pearly color. That's how I would describe it. I'm sure there is a way, or there is a name for that color as well. I know it's like white, but it's not pure white. It's like white, but maybe a bit of purplish, but very, very, very light. Anyways, I'm not gonna go into color theory because I would just suck at that. If you just see the flower, I think I don't even have to explain to you anything more. It is just elegant, delicate. Is it me, or is this starting to sound like Taylor Swift's song? Maybe not go there either. Again, the leaf on this plant is possibly not something that will appeal to a lot of you. I think at one point you stop being so fascinated with the veiny leaves. Obviously, you will always be obsessed with them and you will always think they're beautiful looking and whatnot, but there comes a moment where your brain just becomes broken and you start to find leaves like Hoya apoda to be just gorgeous. They are beautiful. Like, I don't know how to even explain it. I know that they look like bay leaf or something like that, but you start to love this plant. And that is how you know you have gone from, you know, Hoya hobbyist to Hoya maniac. Not a good sign. It's not a good sign. But, you know, I accept you and I embrace you because I am at that level where, you know, I just get a green-leafed Hoya like Hoya apoda and love it. I don't have any plans of getting this plant yet, or at least not this year. I only know one person who really has it, and it's Betsy Begonia. We should start an online feud and pretend we are arch enemies. I haven't seen it in collections of big collectors, so I think this is really something that's not so easy to obtain. I don't think it's being offered. I guess we will see from Betsy how the plant grows. Does it grow fast? Is it slow? Is it good grower? Does it bloom early on? We have many questions that need to be answered here. Now we are entering real expensive territory, I'm just gonna tell you. It's not gonna be cheap, and these two Hoyas I have absolutely just no aspiration of getting because of how pricey they are. First of them is quite popular, quite sort of famous in the Hoya world, and I'm sure you know about it. It is Hoya Silver Dollar MB1405A. There is MB1405B, which is Penny Street, which is another wonderful Hoya. It came from the same seed pod, I believe. It's just a different seed. But Hoya Silver Dollar is a lovely looking Hoya, no denying it. Currently, it is much more expensive in Europe than it is in the States, or from what I have seen. So there we go, people. It is cheaper to get this Hoya in the States than here. Not something that happens quite often, but you know, the plant comes from the United States. It is a Mike Bernardo cross, and his crosses are also quite popular among the collectors. I think they're wonderful crosses. I think I only have one, and it is Hoya Nathalie. Silver Dollar is a cross between one of his crosses called MB001, and if I understood correctly, Hoya MB001 is a cross of Hoya verticillata, the green form, and Hoya rigida. So now let's go back to Hoya Silver Dollar. It is a cross with MB001 and Hoya melliflua. So you have three Hoyas going into Silver Dollar, and the other plant, Penny Street, which is MB1405B, is from the same seed pod, but it looks different. It doesn't have that silvery leaf. In Europe, this plant is around 500 euros, I believe, and possibly even more, depending where you get it. I think I saw it being sold for around $350 in the United States, so it's a bit cheaper there because, again, it comes from the United States. Don't quote me on this, but I think Mike Bernardo, when he crossed the plants, and obviously he grew the plant from the seed, I think it took him about 4 years or so to get it going from the seed to a point where it can be propagated. And from what I saw, this plant grows much faster from a cutting than, you know, initially from seed. So maybe that's why it is so expensive. Obviously now it is distributed by cuttings, but, you know, maybe that's an interesting story for you to hear or not. I'm not sure. It does have a wonderful looking flower. It's just a gorgeous plant overall. And I know that I threw some shade at silvery Hoyas in the past, and it was not maybe directed so much at silvery Hoyas, but about the hype when people started to sell Wilbur Graves for insane amount of money, and they couldn't even verify that it is a Wilbur Graves. It could have been any splashy carnosa that they just decided to call Wilbur Graves. I'm just gonna say this is gonna be a bit of a digression, but if anyone out there, whoever chose Wilbur Graves, whoever named that plant, I'm just gonna need you to come forward. We need to find out more about Hoya Wilbur Graves, Hoya carnosa Wilbur Graves. I have so many questions. First of all, who named it Wilbur Graves? Who is Wilbur? What is happening? What is going on? Why is it so difficult to find information about this Hoya? Why is there a Russian clone? Why is there a Chinese clone? How does that work? If we name one plant, you know, if you give it a cultivar name, how is there a Russian clone? How is there a Chinese clone? then they should be something else, right? Because the only way it could keep the name Wilbur Graves, it would all have to come from the one plant. I'm just very confused there, you know. It would be as if seeing Hoya nicholsonia, New Guinea ghost, Russian form and Chinese form. Like, it doesn't work like that. They all have to come from the same New Guinea ghost. And if it's not from that plant but looks similar, you cannot call it New Guinea ghost or Wilbur Graves. Yeah, there was a hype. There is still a hype about silvery Hoyas, and you know, I'm not sure that the price is completely justified, but I can say that crossing Hoyas takes a lot of time. Growing out the seedlings takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort, and sometimes you get a batch and nothing is worth preserving, you know, you just don't need them. Maybe you can use them in further crosses, but nothing is for distribution. So it's not only enough for you to cross them, but you actually have to select them. So maybe that's why the price is so high in the beginning. I think it should start coming down, especially now when people are growing it, selling cuttings. I think, you know, price will come down a bit in the future. And, you know, maybe I will wait until it's around $100. Dream on, dream on. But it's a lovely plant, you know, I cannot deny it. I would be a liar if I were to sit here and tell you, no, I don't like it. I'm not interested in it. I am. I admit. Whew. That was just a lot. I did not know I had that in me. The last plant on this list will just torpedo us into 4-digit category. It is Hoya that is quite difficult to find. It is very expensive and it looks very good. It looks so good. It is Hoya species Buntok silver. There was a Hoya that was called Hoya species Buntok. That one was named Hoya buntokensis. I don't think this is Hoya buntokensis because to me this looks like Hoya metrata but full silver. And it is just I'm not even gonna tell you what. Just look at the photos. Look at the photos. Look at the photos, people. The way that silver changes, you know, more and less silvery. It's a dreamy Hoya. It looks wonderful. I think, I might be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the biggest full silver leaf Hoya. I don't think that, maybe there are, I just don't know about them. Maybe there are Hoyas out there that have bigger leaf that is silver. Hoya metrata has some big leaves. It has big leaves and these leaves are absolutely wonderful. And it just, you know, the way that those colors change, it is really amazing. It is really expensive. It seems to me that it's very, very difficult to find. Again, I have not seen it in anyone's collection. I think I saw only one photo on the internet and then the other from the nursery that is selling them. I know there is a reservation list, there is a waiting list for this plant, which tells you that it's just not available. It could be that, you know, 5 years down the road, it will become more affordable. I don't think it's gonna ever become $50. I'm just gonna tell you that, considering how expensive it is now. Now, I'm not entirely sure on the origins of this plant. I don't know if it has been found in nature. It is quite possible because Hoya New Guinea ghost was found in nature. It is a silver Hoya that has been found in nature, so it's just a natural mutation. And it's possible that this could be just a silver clone of Hoya metrata, but I haven't seen them around, so it makes me think that it's possibly very rare to find something like that. And, you know, Hoya metrata does grow well, but it doesn't grow extremely fast. It's an okay grower, I would say. I think it will take some time for nurseries to propagate this plant and for it to be distributed. I don't know if you can carry on the silver in tissue culture. I don't know. I don't know if we should hope for that. But in any case, it's a lovely plant. And, you know, don't sit there. Don't sit there and tell me it's not. Don't sit there and tell me if I gave you a cutting, you would say no. Not that I'm gonna give out cuttings of this Hoya, especially since I don't have it, but yeah, it's a lovely plant. This is the most unrealistic plant in my wish list, and I'm not even gonna look at it anymore. I'm just gonna wait, you know, 3 years, check in, see what the price is, where the price is at, and then, you know, take a bit of a break then, and then come back in 5 years, see where the price is at. Maybe then it will be more affordable. Maybe then it will become more commonly found, but I think it might even take more than that for the price to come down on this one. Let's finish off the coffee. I apologize if I made your list longer. I don't think so, because this is not a realistic wish list. I think this is, you know, a dreamy Hoya wish list, and also, you know, introducing some species that you may have not seen before. Maybe they will become more available soon. Praying for that. That's not how praying works. Literally fingers crossed. It's not praying. Let me know which one of these is your favorite. Again, we're just not gonna talk about the prices. I think, you know, compared to philodendrons and other aroids, there are actually rarities here, like that silver Hoya species Buntok silver. I think it's probably very hard to find. Harder than some aroids, which, you know, had their price skyrocket. I have seen variegated monsteras being sold for a lot of money, and there's no justification in that except that people want it. I don't think that is the case here. I actually think this is probably a very, very uncommon Hoya, because again, if it wasn't, I would see it in someone's collection, but I haven't. There aren't even many photos of it. So I think it's gonna take some time for this to be distributed, and then the prices will come down. I actually have to say, I don't think, at least from what I've seen in Europe, the Hoya prices have pretty much remained stable. They didn't increase like in the United States. And I know that in Asia, the prices also increased a bit, but I think it's not so much compared to, you know, in the United States. What are you people doing? That is just a topic for some other time. We cannot cover all the topics in one video, certainly. It's best to just leave that there. Let me know which Hoya is your favorite, and I would like to know, you know, this list aside, which is the single Hoya, your top one, that you would like to get this year. My top one is, aside from Hoya versteegii, or I messed up that name. My other one would be Hoya sulawesiana, and I think I'm gonna get my hands on that. Like it's a done deal. It just did not arrive. I'm at spoilers. I'm sorry for the spoilers. I don't know what's up with me. I should just be banned from telling people stuff. Thank God I'm not in movies. I could not keep my mouth shut. Yes, it's because of spoilers, Miro, why you're not in movies. Anyways, if you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel, because you cannot miss these videos. This just piece of hair is getting into my mouth. It's very annoying. Bad hair choice. Not that it was it's not a hairstyle. You cannot put your hair in a bun and call it a hairstyle, Miro. I hope that all of you are well. I hope you're staying safe. I will see you very soon in another video, and I have no idea if it's gonna be Hoya related or not. So I should go and figure that out. But until then, goodbye. I would like to take some time to thank my patrons. A massive shout out to my $5 patrons. One anonymous patron, Arelise, Betsy Begonia, Bonnie Harris, Carrie, Cynthia Taylor, Danube Daniels, Estelle Farah, Houseplant Heather, Hoya Heather, Jacques Plant Journey, if I pronounced that correctly, Kelso, Kristen Sherwood, Mars B, Martina, Alif Perday, Melissa Walker, Nicole Ferranti, Nicole and Caleb of Schleif Tropicals, Pete J, Plans by Misha, Rachel Colette Conroy, Robin L. Jennings, Stephanie H2O, Spinach Geek, Tanya, TJWO, Vicky Dingler, Wojta Takach, Wendy Foreman, and Zolokov Nipani. Also, a big thank you to my $3 patrons, Angelina Farnan, Brianna Phillips, Catherine G, Kelone, Claudia L, David Condia, Jerry's Garden, Lisa Helling, Lori Murphy, Morgan Kennedy, Nella, Nerdy Kathy, Nikki, Plantalania, Ringlov, Ruby, and Shayla Mason Casper. And a thank you to my $1 patrons, Caroline, Aaron Keenan, Lauren M, Marissa, Ryan Lambert, and Tang Watanas Riakul. Thank you all so much for incredible support. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Do not blame me for adding more Hoyas to your wish list. It's completely not my fault. And don't go buying that extremely expensive SP Buntok Silver. We're gonna wait together for the price to come down. We can do this, people. I hope you are having a wonderful day. I will see you very, very soon in a new video, and stay safe, stay well, enjoy plants, and yeah, that's it. I think this should have ended a while ago. Bye!